our next presenters. So we have Tom Mosterd and Max Mosterd. Tom is one of the co-founders of Sylla and the Director of Higher Education. Tom has worked for nearly a decade on supporting higher education with an emphasis on scholarly publishing and the transition to open access. And Max is the Director of Content and Partnerships at Sylla. He has worked for well over a decade on supporting higher education as well, with an emphasis on scholarly publishing, innovation, and the transition to open access. So thank you, guys. Take it away.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's morning here for us in Europe, so a bit of an early start, but let's get started. We're very happy to be here today and share a bit more about Sylla. So I'm Tom, and Max is here as well. And next to working together on Sylla, we're also brothers, as you may have suspected. And let me go to the screen share. So yeah, we'll be sharing a little bit more about Sylla and what we do. We're a relatively young or new organization, so really pleased to be here and also working with some colleagues in Australia already and New Zealand as well. So what we'll be talking about is moving towards a more open future and how we can really reimagine library systems and kind of do more to connect some pieces of the puzzle. So let's get into it. So what we do with Sylla is that we try to make open and affordable education work for all. We do this today through the Sylla Discover platform that we have, and kind of generally where we make it easy for libraries and educators to find, assess, design, and adopt open and affordable resources at scale, and really personalized to their teaching, which is an important component there. For today, we'll keep it fairly brief given the time, but we'll be sharing more about what we do today with the Sylla Discover platform, where you can connect open access and open educational resources to how you teach today, making the most of what's openly available for your teaching and learning. And Max will also be sharing a bit more about something new that we're working on, which we'll be launching from September onwards, so not that far away, which is the introduction of the Sylla acquisitions module, or the adopt to open model, as we call it, which really looks at growing the open content pool and unlocking more options for tomorrow. Please feel free to already put any questions or thoughts into the chat. Max could answer them while I speak and vice versa. And there should be a couple minutes for Q&A at the end. So where we are today is that we work with about 20 universities and colleges around the world. We've launched Sylla in September, so not that long ago, and actually had a first webinar in the Australia-New Zealand region in August, just before that. So we're approaching the year. Here you can see a couple of the universities that we work with, a couple in the region as well. We have 2 initial case studies and a third one coming shortly. One where we've worked with Coventry in the UK on helping them save a library budget by switching from certain e-textbooks they were licensing to open educational resources. And another case study we've done with colleagues at Deakin, where they also looked at making the most of open educational resources and open access resources. But they looked a bit closer at how that could save them time, library staff time in finding these, and really also improve their library workflows and efficiencies. We're really trying to build the solution together with libraries and educators. We do that with the development partners that we have, and the original product was also built with Coventry and Utrecht University, really from the initial idea. And there are now many more that we are very pleased to work with in these countries today. At this stage, we're also working at full scale. So for instance, with Coventry, we're now working with their full undergraduate program across a couple campuses, which is approximately 2,000 courses or units, where we then also have single sign-on integrations and the needs that you would typically have here to really work with such a platform across the institution. And together, we're really united to make the most of OER and in future also library license resources for teaching and learning, and trying to better connect that within the institution. So what we'll be sharing is firstly the Sylla Discover platform. I'll show it very quickly, which talks about how you can make the most of OA and OER for your teaching and learning today. That's what you see on the left-hand side here. The second thing, which Max will be speaking about, is the acquisitions module or the adopt to open model, which is more about those areas where, as you'll see on the left, there's a lot of red, which means that there are resources or courses or units where there aren't good OA or OER options. And Max's piece, the second piece, will speak about how we're developing this model where you may acquire conditional OA content to fill those gaps and really grow the content pool for tomorrow. So I'll very quickly show the product and how it works today. I'll try to just navigate here to the app. And I'll go very quickly, and we're always happy to do a longer demo, of course. So what you see here is the Sylla app and what it looks like today. And what you see here are, for instance, reading lists. You'll see a reading list that we have for Deakin University. It's a relatively small one, but I'll take the Coventry University example in the UK as a starting point. And essentially what we do here, and typically how we start, is that we ingest the reading list from a university. That can be through your reading list management system like Leganto or Thales Aspire. If you use that, it's very easy. Or we take your units, or both, depending which one you'd like. And then we try to paint this picture at a larger scale, where we basically answer, well, for which of these resources that are currently assigned, such as these 2,500 here, might there be OER alternatives or open access options? And these are all in this case, we're looking at all the assigned books for the undergraduate program at Coventry and all the essential readings. So these are all the essential readings, typically one or in some cases two that they have for those modules, for those units, and where they might have OER alternatives. And from here, they can then see what that looks like. By publisher, you can see Coventry is a very heavy Pearson user and TNF as well. In green, where there might be good options. In red, some where there aren't today. Here are typically a couple trends. Oxford University Press is usually relatively difficult in the UK because it holds a lot of law content and there aren't good options for law today. And the same for Penguin Random House. Due to the nature of the work, fiction works or literary works, it's typically not very easy to switch from those. Either you would want to read some of those books or you wouldn't. You can also drill down really by school. Again, showing that the humanities might be a difficult starting point, or by degree program. So here's the English literature bachelor's program. Not the easiest place again, but business management and leadership might be a better place to start. You can also drill down into this. You can click on anything, updates the figures. And here below, you kind of see what we do. So we basically take very basic metadata from the reading list, and then we batch that to our OER database. And I'll take an example here. And then you can look at the OER options. So now we've jumped from the reading list view to an individual resource view. And I'll just take a different one for the purposes of the demo. And what you can see here is that this is then the current resource in use. For instance, this Pearson textbook. You can then click on Discover Resources. And what it does is, oh, I think I may have taken the wrong one. Sorry, different edition. And what it does is that you can then look at OA or OER options for the textbook. So these are potential alternatives, except that these are all open. You can look at these through the lens of the book, where it surfaces the best alternatives for the overall book, typically surfacing other chapters, where you can then browse through the different options. You can then inspect them, assess them, and if you're happy with them, add them to your list, as we have done here already. And you can also do this by chapter read. So if you're just using a couple chapters of a book today, you could also say, well, if I would have an alternative for chapter 12 for the Pearson book, that would already enable me to switch away to an open alternative. There are filters that you can play around with by publisher, by license type. And basically here you can make your selections and also then get it out of the system. The other view is the unit view. So what we do here is that we match OERs not to your current textbook, but really to your unit and how you're teaching based on the unit description, the topics, and the learning outcomes. You can perform the exact same actions and have the same discovery journey, but now the OERs are matched to your unit or to individual topics or subjects that you have. You can perform the same actions, and then finally you could invite colleagues here through single sign-on. Those could be library colleagues, they could be faculty. You can play with the permissioning and we can set that up in the way how you'd like. And the final step would be to take it out of the platform. And this depends on your workflow. And here you can either export it or you can click a button to push it to your LMS or reading list system, and then really use it for your teaching. So this is really a platform for libraries and academics, and not for students. And that's pretty much the Sylla Discover platform that we have today. Again, we can give a broader demo another time, but hopefully that already gives a bit of an impression. And then I'll just switch to the slideshow again here and hand it over to Max. Sorry, for
if you can keep the slides open.
Other piece.
Yeah. So thank you, Tom. So we just discussed the Discover platform. So we're trying to look for ways and also surface where it is possible to move some more closed books or resources into open. There are a lot of red bars as well. And what we now try to do, because we're aware there are content gaps, we can fill in those content gaps and inject an orange bar that you can see here on the slide. A conditional open access model, we call it the adopt to open model. And if you go to the next slide, Tom, the reason why we are doing this is, well, obviously, Tom has explained there's a lot of momentum in open access. We've launched our Discovery product to kind of service this and really tailor this towards the teaching needs locally at the institution. Although there have been wins, we have realized time savings, cost savings. In the case studies we have on our website, there still is a challenge where faculty simply wants to move and wants to join the change in teaching open, but there is simply no resource available. That's why now we're working towards this model for September. And if you move to the next, Tom. And if we look at those gaps, we have few lenses how we look at them. There are the current low effort efforts where there is no gap, you can simply switch and take a open resource and replace. But the next part of the spectrum with the effort is to transform existing backlist books into open. So these are then titles from some mission-aligned publishers, those who are open to experiment, where we can engage with them and say, why don't you join this open access program where we can actually include your backlist titles so that they can become open. That is kind of the flipping method, which is another place where we are now looking at to work with adopt to open. Then there's two other areas where we could also look at is adaptation through remixing existing OERs. So maybe there's a great OER in the US, but it doesn't really fit the Australian, New Zealand local needs. So it needs to be slightly adapted. And then finally, if there's really no OER available, no publisher wants to flip, and adaptation will be difficult, why not just make a new one? And that is also something with a bit more effort. We think it's the highest effort, something we would be supporting. So if we go to the next, you have to click through. Yeah. So what we're doing now is we are looking at the reading list to inform the places to start. So on the bottom right there, you can quickly see, it's a bit difficult to see perhaps, but you can find the research, the reading list that we have taken up from a sample of institutions, and we can see kind of which resource, which reading is most frequently co-assigned. So if you think about the Australia context, if we work together as a community, we can ingest a reading list. We can also see which titles are co-assigned most frequently. And what we are then doing is we overlay our red and green bars to see, well, for this text, the first one of business research methods of OUP, maybe there are alternatives. And then we don't have to take any effort and talk to OUP to flip their business research methods book. However, there will also be books in this list that simply don't have any OER alternative. And then we basically go out to those publishers and approach them with the message. We don't expect every publisher to join. There's definitely some publishers we don't even want to approach because we know the answer already. But we have some really promising conversations with very large publishers as well, but also university presses who are really curious about changing their title models from closed to open. And that is something we will then introduce to Sylla. Next one. So what's the timeline here? We are getting now a lot of feedback on the model. We have actually started this in the UK, where there are some very large central e-textbook procurement frameworks. So we're getting in all the feedback, the reading list, to really make that long list of titles. Also with the publishers, we have active conversations. So we really get to see where can we start these backlist flipping conversations. The same thing we would really like to do in Australia and New Zealand. We believe it's timely, and we have already some customers and great conversations as well. And again, if we get more reading lists into the system, we can make a better target list to get out with. The goal would be to have a larger list, about 150 texts in the UK. There's no reason why not to do this for Australia and New Zealand. Also, strong reading list culture. You have the systems, we can work in the same spirit, and then we can get those titles on the list. We don't only want to look at backlist. There's also, the model can also be applied for forthcoming titles. We have also here very promising conversations with university presses who are ready to work on particular chapters or even a full textbook. And also the matching we are doing in that spirit is to find UK faculty, or in the Australian New Zealand context, focusing on OER stipend, OER faculty that really wants to produce, and match them to those gaps. So if we see a gap in contract law Australia, we can sort of recommend focus on this one because you're going to address a gap and it's going to be relevant for Deakin, Western Sydney, whatever, Melbourne, you name it. So we can really be a bit more targeted and not duplicate efforts, but coordinate as a community to quickly make impact with our OER creations. And that's what we can do with the system and the data we can service. September is the moment we want to launch in the UK. If we can do it in Australia, wonderful. Then we have to be talking now, which we do. So yeah, if you're interested to join this or learn more, I'm completely aware it's very quick and short, but there's a lot of things happening. Also, many of your colleagues we may well be speaking to, and this is something we would be happy to roll out also Australia and New Zealand. Thank you so much, and leave it then back to you, Tom.
Yes, thank you all. I believe we're under time, or I don't know if we have extra time, but just here pulling up the our contact details. I'll just stop the screen share. And just to echo, we'd be happy to go in more detail via our contacts at a later time. Is there still time for some Q&A, Patricia?
I think because we're finishing early today in general, it should be fine. If anybody's got any questions, we would have time.
Great.
So it looks like we've got two questions. So people at Monash asking, you will be only looking at reading lists for libraries that sign up to the program. Is that correct?
So that's a good point. So the idea is that the Sylla Discover platform which is a subscription product, and the acquisitions module, or the adopt to open model as we call it, are separate. You can definitely use them together with great synergy, but you do not have to sign up or become a paying customer first in order to participate. So what we do, for instance, today in the UK, and again, can do in Australia and New Zealand as well, is that you can share the reading lists. We will kind of compile this list and then participate in the model. We're still fleshing out some of the details, but you don't, but yeah, you can kind of do both things separately if you'd like, or just one of the two. We've also been in touch with Carl, yes, with
Call, yeah.
with Call, sorry,
It's okay.
with Angus and Kate and Ash about some of the work we're doing. We'd be very interested, yeah, to see if we could collaborate. It was on the final slide that we had as well, because it would definitely make sense probably to team up a bit there, also with the OER collective that they have, or that you all have, and around the cost. So again, the Sylla adopt to open model, really unlocking this content, that's something that's really that we're working on still. There will be flexibility. You will have the option to purchase single titles. So it's relatively dynamic. So you could do title by title purchasing. The Sylla Discover platform is something that we're also still looking to align with Call, but pricing today ranges from about 7,000 euros a year to 25,000 euros a year. And that really depends on the institutional size, the extent to which you'd like to use it. So I mentioned the Coventry example in the UK. They're using it across multiple campuses, also internationally, for their full undergraduate program. So they're more on the higher end, but some universities use it in a relatively small context initially. So they're more on the lower end of that price point.
There was also a question, I think, Tom, from Sarah about and a reader about the price and maybe the model for the Discover. Maybe you can explain that.
For so how are purchase and subscription options identified, type or publisher? Yes, so I believe, and Max, you can add in if I misunderstood, but when it comes to the adopt to open model, this is really kind of demand driven based on what is assigned on reading lists today for in the Australia New Zealand region, then to make sure that the titles that we're looking at will really make an impact, and that you could actually verify with faculty beforehand whether they're open to switching at all. So those would be, for instance, the list we had shared in the presentation. Those are the 150 most frequently assigned textbooks. And that was specifically for the UK. In terms of the pricing framework and kind of the price points, it's something that we're working on with Call, and to make sure that we kind of take into account the regional frameworks that you already have. That's similar to how we work with JISC in the UK, and that's very helpful.
Thank you so much. I think we do need to wrap up now. If anybody does have any other questions that haven't been answered yet, we can always send those through to Max and Tom outside of the webinar. So thank you so much to Max and Tom. That was really interesting and definitely very timely, considering some things that are happening in the library world at the moment.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
I would also just like to quickly say thank you to Max and Tom and Sylla for being one of our major sponsors. So thanks very much.
Thank you.